Hi everybody, it is April and I am in my craft room. I am working on doing some free motion quilting on a quilt. I'll hold it up. Kind of see it. It's very cute. And I thought I would share with you what I do. It's very impromptu, just showing you how I free motion quilt, and maybe you can get some ideas. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to thread my machine. Doesn't help if I stick my arm in the middle. And machines will normally have numbers on them. You start with your presser foot up so that you get free pull on your thread. And this machine happens to have an automatic needle threader. So everything's ready for me to push this button over here. But I'm going to put my presser foot down, and that gets it out of the way. Okay. There you go. And then see, when you've got your presser foot down, it's not as easy to pull. You put your presser foot up and it's way easier to pull. I've done some straight line quilting along. It was kind of stitch in the ditch, kind of missing, not really stitching in the ditch. But once I got all my blocks stitched around, then I want to go around the dogs in the main portion of the quilt. So you can see where I've gone around this dog's ears, and I've gone around this dog somewhat. Well, now I'm going to go around this dog here, which is my Yorkie, my favorite. Alright, so I want to get the quilt in my lap, and I want to get as much of the quilt on my table as possible so that there's no drag. So when I pull and push, I'm not going to get any drag. I have to wear gloves because my hands just slide right over the material. Alright, so I got started here on his ear and ran out of bobbin thread. So I'm going to go back and start where I left off, which is right about here, and I use my wheel over on the side of my machine so that I can put my needle exactly where I want it. And what I'm doing is I'm going to put my needle down and bring my needle back up, and then I see that there's a little lever and it's come up, and then I'm going to pull my thread. Now this is a little bitty piece of thread right here coming up from the bobbin. So I've got tweezers that I use to grab my thread. Alright. And I try to maintain where I was on the quilt, but that doesn't always happen. So when I put my needle back down, I'm going to just adjust it to go down exactly where I want to start. And then I'm going to be going backwards, so I'm going to pull my threads this way. I'm going to put my presser foot down, and your presser foot shouldn't be so close that you can't move your material. Now right now I can't move my material because my needle is there. And again, I want to make sure I've got material up and around. I'm going to be pulling this way, so I'm going to wrap it up and get as much on this table as I can so I don't get any drag. Okay. And I should probably be doing this on my Q-zone frame, but you know, I like a challenge. I have my speed set. My feed dogs are dropped. I do want my presser foot to come up when I stop, but I want my needle to stay down. Let me make sure my feed dogs are dropped. Okay. Now my feed dogs are dropped. Okay. There we go. So my presser foot is up. I'm going to put it back down. Alright. Feed dogs dropped. I had turned my machine off, and when I turned it back on, it's not, the same settings weren't set. So feed dogs dropped. My foot will come up when I stop. I've got a full bobbin. My speed control is where I want it. I do not wear my shoes when I quilt. So I take my shoes off. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I want to do a quick needle up, needle down, so I can have a little I want to start out by knotting my thread. So I'm not going to move, I'm just going to go. Okay. So now I've got my thread set. Now, you need to hold on to your material until your needle stops. So you're going to move, and then when you bring your foot up off of the presser, don't let go of your material, because your needle is probably up and it's going to come back down, and if you let go of your material, it may come back down where you don't want it to. Even when you're cognizant of that, it still may not come back where you want it to. Okay, here we go. And it's pedal to the metal, and I'm going to move along the ear, and I am just essentially tracing. Okay, now I'm going to stop because I want to, I've already got a little nest here. I want to get this thread and trim it. And it's already gone under a couple stitches, which is fine. Just gently pull it. Alright, and then I'm going to trim that, because I set it so there's a knot there, so when I trim it, it's not going to come unraveled. These tweezers are awesome. I don't even know who they're by, but anyway, I always have tweezers when I'm doing free motion quilting. Okay, so pedal to the metal. We're going to start again. Everything's set. Here we go. And you're going to immediately want to start moving, or you're going to have a big knot of thread. And you know, if it's not perfect, it's not that big a deal. So I want to make sure that I like my stitching, which I'm happy with my stitching. All right, so here we go. Gonna keep going. And what you're going to do is you're going to adjust the speed that you're moving your material based on how you want your stitch to look. If you go really fast, then your stitch will be longer. If you go slower, your stitch will be shorter. And so you really want someplace right in between. All right. So now I'm just going to follow along. I'm going to say her beard because, you know, Gracie, my dog, my Yorkie, is a girl. So we're going to follow along here. Get ready. Yep. And I always like variegated thread. I don't know why. And I almost feel like I'm painting because I'm following these lines. You don't want long gaps because that's when your thread is gonna. So you just, it's very steady. Steady, 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 steady. Okay. And sometimes my stitches are closer together, sometimes they're further apart. It's just, you know, it's all in how you move. The more steady you are, the more consistent your stitches will be. And the more practice you have, the better your stitches will be. Okay, so now I'm going to just go across here. I'm going to stitch over, hopefully, over the stitch line that I've already stitched. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the other side, and I'm going to eventually meet this ear here that I've already done. All right, here we go. If you can, move your hands while you're going, especially to get into a rhythm. Just makes it a lot easier to just keep in that rhythm. But if you have to, do not be afraid to stop. Just make sure that when you stop, like I'm going to do now, you hold on to your material until the needle is down and it's stopped moving up and down. So now I'm going to do a little adjusting. I'm going to be going this way, so I'll make sure that I've got material up here so that there's some give to it, so I don't have to worry about getting caught. And here we go. Pedal the metal. Get ready. Woohoo! Here we go. And some people are speed demons. I am out of practice, so I am taking it slow. And it shouldn't be scary. It should be fun. I think this is going to be a quilt for me, so that's especially less intimidating. When you're doing it for somebody else, you're like, oh no, what if I mess up? Okay, now see, I'm going to stop because I want to make sure that my hands are placed here so I can get this last part of my ear, and my goal is to meet this stitch right here. Here we go. It's always good to start on a practice thing. Okay, so now I'm gonna that and break thread. Okay, and this Yorkie is upside down, so I have gone all the way around this little Yorkie. He's so cute. Not he. Okay, now we'll look at the back. So this is the back. Let's see if I can put it so you can see it. Okay, so here's the back. It looks good. Now where I started and I stopped, there's a little bit of thread there, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I can trim it. It's the back of the quilt, so it is what it is. My quilts are not show quilts by any stretch of the imagination. Now, there are places where, like here, where this, you can see the thread from the top on the bottom, which means that I wasn't doing a very good job of maintaining the speed. I think I got a little fast through there, and therefore my tension wasn't as good. Now here you can't see my thread from the top. The top looks great. I have no problem with the top. The back, sometimes if you get in too big of a hurry, or even maybe if you go too slow, you're going to have stitches that are really close together. Here the stitches are pretty close together, but here I think I was going too fast, and so my tension was kind of off, and you can see thread from the top coming up. But again, everything is practice, and this is the back of the quilt. So there you go. That's what I'm working on right now. I wanted to do straight line quilting, which I did straight line quilting, but then I decided that I wanted to outline these guys. So have a good day. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. If you want more information about how I do my free motion quilting, let me know, and I'll see you next time.